Okay, well, I got a question for you, Marisol. Of everything I've talked about so far, how much have you shared with our children about what happened in the court? What have you shared? I love to know that. Love to know that. You know, the thing that amazes me the most about you is this. In a sense, I don't know. I don't know if I'm even saying it right. That is, how, what do you expect when you come and before Yeshua, Amashai, the day of your judgment? What do you expect? What are you going to say? I have asked him to ask you one question, and that is for you to give him. You told me you had over 10 plus scriptures that allowed you to divorce your husband, me, the father of our children, even though I had never committed adultery, and even though I had never physically abused you, and a story there, that you had, and that you had several pastors that had said to you that you could divorce your husband. But yet, to this day, you've never produced one scripture, even though I asked you until finally, the last time I asked you, you absolutely had a fit, anger, and everything. And all I wanted to do, wanted to know was what were the scriptures. As a matter of fact, during the divorce, many times, I shared with you, many times. I said, hey, show me those scriptures that allow you to have the divorce, and I signed the papers, end of story. Now, you are aware, though, naturally, I never signed any divorce papers. I wonder about that in a matter of speaking. I wonder for myself, am I divorced, or am I still married? Now, scripturally, I am free because you abandoned the marriage, and I know that. But anyway, I'm curious. Will you share with Katya, Isaac, and Kristen what it is you're going to say when you get before Yeshua, before your judgment? Are you going to be able to produce for him the 10 plus scriptures? And he already knows that they don't exist, but I'm curious. I mean, or do they? I don't know. Where are they? You told me numbers of times you had them, never produced them, but I'm curious on that. Well, maybe Katya, Marisol, Katya, ask your mother. How about you, Isaac? Ask your mother. Christian, ask your mother. Mom, where are the scriptures? Can you share with us the scriptures that allowed you to divorce without dad having committed adultery, physical abuse? Period. Yeah. It's a good question. Good question. I'll wait till the next one. I want to go back to Ian's note, which is really interesting. I mean, as I read it more and more, I realized that there's a lot of wisdom there, in a sense. He doesn't really realize that he's very angry at me, but the things that he says is really mind-blowing, and very, very much so. But anyway, let's see. Unbelievable. You know, I just think back of everything. I do have a question. Gosh, it's just so much. Like I always say, it's just so much. I don't even know where this will end. But anyway, now, I will say this. Once I finish with this, whenever it is, I'm not going to say another word. Not another word. Don't need to. It'll all be said. I do believe firmly that one of these days, our children will wake up. My prayer is this, though, that I'm still alive. That I haven't, natural death, accident, or whatever, because I'll tell you what, the mental trip that they would be on for the rest of their lives, which you put them on, would be something I don't even want to go there. That was like with my own natural father, my natural biological father. I was so glad that I did make things right and that relationship, even though he really didn't want a relationship and all that, he had his family and all that. But anyway, the point is that I made it right before he died. Yeah, before he died, I made it right. It was right for quite a number of years and all that. And I have no guilt, no nothing in relation to him. But will the same be said of our children? I'll tell you myself, it just absolutely blows me away. It just absolutely blows me away. But anyway, I have a question. Did you, or let's see, how am I going to phrase this? Did you ever tell our children what happened when we went to your father's house to ask him to let us live in his house that he was selling until we got back on the road? And at that time, you and I had decided we were going to go back and get regular jobs and all that kind of stuff. Did you tell our children what your father did? That the only way he was going, and let me just say it, that the only way he was going to give the house for our family was if you left me and took our children. Then you could have the house. I'll tell you what, your dad destroyed your marriage with Mike Henstill and with your mom. And let me tell you something. When he dies, he's accountable to 2 destructions of marriages. Yours with Mike Henstill and ours. All the poison that your mom with your dad fed Ian, for example. You know it. I know it. Ian knows it. Ian's the one that told us about what they were doing with him. All the attacks all through the years. But you know the thing about those attacks was you never, ever supported me. You always went with your father. Now, I am going to be covering the topic about what I do firmly believe. And I'm going to cover it in relation to my firm belief that you were sexually molested as a child or as a young girl. Now, why am I going to do this? I'm going to tell you exactly why. Because I tried to talk to you, not for you. Hey, that's your problem, is the way I look at it. But for Katya. For Katya. My concern for Katya. Now, the interesting thing about it is I never, ever did say that your father did molest you. Never said it. So I'm going to cover that extensively. Definitely. Now, why am I going to cover it? Because you brought it out to Katya. See, you wouldn't talk to me, so you couldn't talk. Instead, you just went to Katya that I'm doing this, that, or whatever, or even that I was accusing that your father molested Katya and this, that. Well, I never said that either. But see, because you couldn't talk. You don't know how to talk. You don't know how to have a conversation with a man. Okay? During our entire marriage, we could never talk. You could talk. This is a fact. During our entire marriage, there's times where you would talk from 10 o'clock at night until 6 o'clock in the morning, nonstop, about this, that, whatever in the marriage. None. But every time that I tried to talk, I never got a minute in, because you would always interrupt. You never knew how to have a conversation with a man. Marisol. I firmly believe this, and I'll go into it with this. Marisol, you're never going to get married, and I'm going to tell you why. And I'm going to tell her, since this is getting ready, and I'm going to tell you why. I'll tell you why you're never going to get married, and we go from there. And Ian gave part of the answer already, but anyways, it's getting ready to end here, so I'm going to go ahead and go from there.